Hello, we're here. We're in the finals. I got to remove this word "semi" from the banner there. I'm joined by Isaac Egan.
Hello.
Welcome in. Yesterday's winner.
Yep.
Today you're in the top 8 as well, but you're in here and the finals are out there.
Yeah.
So it's not a back-to-back for you today.
Well, the thing is, I was like, I really just want to do some commentary, and that meant that I had to just throw the game against Mulchy. I had to throw it. I had to throw it. It was a conscious decision.
That's definitely it. It was a choice.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't anything that Mulch did about it.
Yep.
Now we're going to once again ask our runners to ask the players to move their life dice down here as we jump into the table and check out the matchup. Luke Mulcahy playing Red Black Goblins, Mimi Arthur playing 4-color Control. Isaac, what do you think? What's your first impressions of the matchup?
Yeah, so I think that Mimi is set up well to actually deal with a large group of creatures in terms of having a bunch of spot removal being a control deck. Some things that are like a little bit skewed towards a combo and control meta rather than aggro meta means that probably pre-board there'll be a lot of cards that aren't so good, but post-board I would imagine that Mimi will have a change up in cards that will probably make her maybe a little bit in front, but I would say that Mulch is poised to win game one, especially being on the plate, being top of Swiss.
Yeah, top of the Swiss, so Mulch going 4-0 and then drawing in the last round. To lock up first seed. Has the choice of play or draw in every round forever.
Yeah.
Not happy with this 7 though. Shipping it back. I'm going to have a look at another 7 turning into a 6.
Mimi keeping hers.
Yeah, happy enough with hers. So last round we saw her definitely a more controlling build of the 4-color not white deck. You can see that in the dig through time, the search for Canter, Colligan's Command even. These cards that are definitely more in the long game category than, the Ren and 6 that we saw from Mimi's other opponent on the same colours.
So what's your take? Who would you put?
Look, I'm torn here because I do love playing 4-color control piles, but I also love goblins. So
Yeah. Red, black, green, like Jund goblins kind of thing?
There's a tiny touch of green in there. It's Deathrite Shaman, some sideboard cards, and I think there's a couple of main deck additions as well. But it is definitely, first and foremost, red-black. There is access to the Blood Moons that Mulch has, so maybe those could be an influence.
That 4-color deck is pretty relevant. It's interesting if we look at the sideboard of Mimi, what kind of thing is going to come up. Okay. Also, another really cool thing is that Lutri is there as well. Oh my god!
Is that a turn
Oh
1 Blood
my
Moon?
god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Turn 1 Blood Moon on the play. Mountain Go from Mimi. Oh!
You said it was likely for Mulch to win game 1, but I don't think this is how we drew it up, right?
Oh, an Instigator on turn 2 got the pressure as well.
Is
okay,
it?
well we got a bolt. We got a bolt from the mountain.
Yeah, that's it. Turn 1 Triome Bolt your guy.
Okay, we got another mountain.
That
Go.
Mox taps for 2 colors of mana as well. It's a Mox Ruby Jet. It exiled the Grenzo Dungeon Warden, and Mulch just looking to take this Lutri into hand.
Yeah, so not much going on for Mulch in terms of pressure, but that's one of the great things about Lutri. One point, when you don't have much going on, pay 3 mana, get a 3-2, which is probably an irrelevant 3-2 in terms of like its ability, but it's free, and it attacks for 3 damage when your opponent only has mountains.
That's it. It's a 7-turn clock, and it doesn't cost you a card in hand. This was an additional card in hand. Is that
Basic Swamp Hardcast Earwig Squad.
We'll get Earwig Squad up on the screen for you here. Normally a really cool enter the battlefield ability, but
Yeah, so it's got Prowl for black and 2. So if you hit with a
There we
goblin
go.
or a rogue,
that's right.
then you get to Prowl it in, which basically allows you to exile 3 cards from your opponent's library.
Yeah,
But
really
Hardcast is just a 5 mana 5/3, and that's all you need.
And a ringleader. Here comes the refill. This game could be over already.
I think it was over on turn 1, mate.
We are like 2.5 minutes into this game. Let's have a look here. Land, Goblin King, land.
And Once Upon a Time. Yeah. That's the other splash for green, is just to be able to play the Once Upon a Time.
Oh, yeah,
that makes
just
sense.
in case. Good to have the ability to play it.
Yeah,
Mimi says that's enough for me.
Yep, that's enough. That's enough. So I'm going to pull
Wow.
up. I've got Mimi's sideboard in my hands at
As
the
we
moment.
pop back into the booth here.
Yeah. So let me rattle off a couple of instant come-ins.
Yeah, hit me.
Hydro Blast and Blue Elemental Blast. What do you think of them?
I don't know if there's enough red spell. No, never mind. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's probably pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, okay.
one of
Flash Flood, though?
No Flash Flood, which, like, not everybody knows of its existence. Flash Flood is the third blast that kills a Blood Moon.
It's close, I guess.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. One of the great things about having the blast in the board like that is that you can actually just crack a fetch land to get an island early on, and even if you don't have the blast, it means that there's turns where you can tap out knowing that you've still got the ability to kill.
Yeah, the destruction effect as well, right?
Yeah.
What else would you see from Mimi's sideboard coming in? There's definitely the 2 blasts. You're absolutely right there.
All right, so we've got 2 blasts coming in. I would imagine that Disfigure comes in as well.
Sure.
Single black, neg 2.
Yep.
And look, this is probably the biggest one here. Radiant Flames.
Radiant Flames. That's not one we typically see in this format, so we will chuck it on the screen here.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a typical card, but it gets the job done.
Yeah.
It's the sweeper of choice in the sideboard here for Mimi.
Yep. So one of the great things about Radiant Flames is it can go up to 3 damage, but you can also do 2 damage if you've got like a 3/3.
Yeah, good with your own Titania and that sort of thing.
Exactly right. You can really choose what to do. The bad thing is that it doesn't kill a Magus of the Moon unless you have another basic.
Okay. Look, it's pretty reliable then, I guess. If you have just any non-mountain basic, you can kill the Magus.
Yeah, I think so.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Similar to Fire Spout in that regard, I guess.
Yeah. Fire Spout. Hang on, what's
Fire Spout. That's
Fire
a
Spout.
red-green hybrid one.
Yeah, no, but Fire Spout does 3 damage to all green creatures.
Yeah.
You can't get the flyers if you don't have a green.
Maybe the Liliana's Triumph might come in as well.
Yeah, I think that'll probably be better than something.
Something.
In
Absolutely something. On Mulch's side here, we're going to see potentially Leyline of the Void. We might see Scrap Heap Scrounger. It's a non-white control deck, so Scrap Heap Scrounger is really at its best here.
Scrappy. Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, there's actually quite a few cards in this sideboard. I don't know what they are. Like
Maya in Misery. What does that card do?
Maya in Misery. Well, let's look it up. We've got this one here.
This is exciting. Black and 1. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or enchantment.
Okay.
So that'd be in there for Reanimator.
Yeah. It hits like back to basics, I suppose. Sure.
I think it's in there for Reanimator and some slight upside against like one of maybe Mulch's other decks, like what's the Alluring combo.
Okay. He's also got Feed the Swarm as the second black enchantment removal spell.
Yeah, he's really keen on killing some enchantments.
In black specifically. Never mind the green splash.
I tell you what, there is. Oh no, Dystopia doesn't. What kills red things that Mulch like?
Not much, because red's the center of his allied shard there.
Yeah.
Other cards.
I don't know what enchantments he's hating on, but there's some enchantment that Mulch is like.
He really doesn't like the idea of it. Skyclave Shade is the other one I don't know. Fresh from Zendikar Rising.
Yeah. Okay, so this will come in. I think this will come in.
Okay, so this is just another sort of Bloodghast-esque card. Yep. A recursive 2-drop aggressive threat.
Yep.
Both players still shuffling up, getting ready for the game, just making sure we haven't lost any content down there. But the Skyclave Shade, it's another Bloodghast base.
Yeah, so black and 1 for a 3/1, and landfall whenever you play a land, you can play it from your graveyard.
You can cast it. Okay, sure. It's strange that it's got the clause that it has to be your turn.
That's a good point.
Because you'd A, have to play a land on an opponent's turn, and B, give it flash. But, I mean, sure. You do you. It's got kicker as well, so it can become a big threat later on in the game.
Alright, so it looks like I can see a tropical island, a couple other lands, and a black card, maybe a Tasker or something. Maybe he's shipping it back.
Not happy with that 7. What about Mulch on the left here? Will we see another turn 1 Blood Moon?
I was just playing against Mulch, and he played Goblin Recruiter.
Okay.
And got like 17 goblins.
Sure. I mean, Goblin Recruiter is top of the list of cards that lose to Opposition Agent.
Yeah.
Opponent just gets to search your deck, exile all the goblins. They've got access to them eventually, or they could just pass. You don't have any goblins in your deck anymore.
Oh my god. That's so good.
Yeah,
Awesome.
you don't need to cast goblins to win. You can just have your opponent have a 10-card deck.
Alright, I can see a blue blast in Mimi's hand. Mulch has kept 7. I suspect that we're going to see a keep on this. I can also see a Baleful Strix. So certainly some different options here from Mimi. Oh, that's a Toxic Deluge as well. So Toxic Deluge is in the main.
No Plague Engineer. That was one we had a little bit of thought about whether we'd see it in any sideboards today. Unsure whether Plague Engineer is the right choice for Highlander. You know, it's not a tribal format, so to speak, as much as Mulch here disagrees with us.
So you see here that Mimi played the Triome on turn 1 instead of the blue fetch, not fearing the turn 1 Blood Moon. I was wondering if she was, because she could play around it with the blast.
Yeah.
But
taking the high roll line here, that's a Once Upon a Time. So taking the high roll option here, you know, if the turn 1 Blood Moon doesn't happen, this is the better line long term.
Oh yeah, much better, because then she can untap, crack the fetch land to get an island and play Baleful Strix. Whereas the other way, yeah.
Your turn 2 would be blank and you'd be playing at turn 3.
Yeah, so I think it's the correct play, but it's interesting after you've just got so hosed.
Just got done by it.
By the turn 1 Blood Moon, and whether you skew your risk factor or not.
Is that a conspicuous Snoop
Ooh, the
revealed
Snoopy!
there? Let's chuck that one on the screen there. I mean, it's been pretty prominent in a lot of formats, so you might know what it does already. It's a cool card advantage engine, and a Goblin Lackey coming down here for Luke. That is a high octane card, you know? That is a card that if you don't have a way to interact with it, it's going to put you behind on board. It's that simple. And a Breeding Pool coming down here for Mimi.
Oh, maybe that wasn't a fetch. Maybe that's what so there was no way to play around
Drown in the Lock on the Goblin Lackey. Mimi choosing to cast it on her own turn. You know, doesn't want to get blown out by a Red Blast. And a Conspicuous Snoop, the card cast here. With a Warren Instigator on the top of the library. So there's a lot of synergies going on here. Just goblins here, goblins there. And all of them just make each other just that little bit better here.
Alright, we've got another 2 damage from the Shockland in order to keep the blast up. And then we can pass the turn and see what's on top of Mulchi's library.
A Moxus Goblin Grandee. You know, we're going to just keep the
cards
coming.
Yeah, look, Moxus. I think a lot of people have seen Moxus in Historic. So
in Historic and in even in Legacy, that card is, you know, Goblins is now a combo deck with Goblin Lackey and Moxus, and then your opponent dies. You know, the deck's previously played a lot of Ringleader. Sometimes it played.
Looks like the Warren Instigator that was
the Warren
previously
Instigator
there.
coming down now.
So no use of the blast from Mimi.
The Snoop. So there has definitely been Snoop combos. I'm not sure whether Luke's playing the combos today. Previously, he was large on playing the combos in this deck. And then he ended up just cutting them because you could just fairly beat your opponent.
Yep, you can just cast, because you can cast goblins from the top of your library, yeah?
Yeah, that's the one, yeah. I mean, Luke was playing this deck before Snoop was printed. He was just, you know, beating people up with Ancient Tombed Out 3-drop goblins. You know, Rabble Master and the Ravnica Krenko, the Tin Street Kingpin. You know, all of these just incredibly powerful cards coming down on turn 1, or even Blood Moon. I mean, wouldn't the turn 1 Blood Moon be good?
So we don't have the life totals at the moment, but I believe that Mimi's on 15.
I think that's correct.
Oh, Toxic Deluge! Oh! Yeah.
Alright, we're doing a little bit of guesswork on the life totals here, but...
So that's another 2, so probably 13 at the moment for Mimi.
Yeah, I'm going to get somebody to check.
Good idea.
Yeah. Just to, you know, make sure we've got the right things on stream here. It makes it much easier to make sure that our commentary is on point, because otherwise we're talking about, we might be talking about a player being low on life and having to make awkward decisions, but that may not be true.
Yep. So Mimi has the blast in hand, knows about the Muxus, so knows that she's going to either have to counter that Muxus or,
Take the lumps.
Thought Seize it or something like that.
Hey, Gaffer, are you able to shift the dice onto frame for me? They're just like 2 inches too high. That would be A+ for me if you could.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sweet. All right, we've got a 5-drop.
Is that a Sling Gang Lieutenant, perhaps? No, an opposition agent at end of turn.
And a Disfigure.
We haven't seen a single opposition agent got him today.
So that's interesting.
We've seen a few opposition agents come down and do that, get destroyed or have 0 effect or just be a 3/2, but we haven't seen any get them.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, having to crack your fetches in your main phase, needing to, they crack a fetch in a turn, you crack my fetch in response in case you're playing this opposition agent.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Yep. All right. So Mulch is really hoping to get a Cavern of Souls here. That's something that could really open it up with the Muxus in hand.
Definitely. Yeah, you've got to wonder whether Mimi has all of her counterspells still in the deck.
Yep.
When you are, playing against a tribal deck, Cavern of Souls always has to be on your radar.
All right, so the Goblin Matron's countered by the blast, and we've got a Swamp. So 1 card left in hand, I think, or maybe 2, and it's
cards.
Muxus X,
Yeah.
which Mimi knows about. But I wonder if Mulch is going to run it out.
Mimi firing off the blue blast there, you've got to think that there's more permission in her hand, whether it's a different counterspell or a snapcaster or something to recur the blue blast.
Yeah, so I'd be apprehensive on playing the Muxus if it's my last threat. I think I'd play other threats if I could before that, knowing that I've got Cavern of Souls in hand.
Yeah.
But at the same time, sometimes you just got to yam. Sometimes you just got to yam.
Sulphurous Springs.
Evasive action. Mimi, still in it. All right, evasive action. I would say, actually, not even just still in it. I would say that Mimi's in front here.
That depends on what the last card in Mulch's hand here is. I mean...
I think I saw it might have been a land.
Okay.
Just checking out what that Pain Land is. Sulphurous Springs, the original printing.
Springs. The ancient version of it.
Yep. It taps for a colorless or taps for a pain to add either black or red.
How did you go last round?
I went 0-2.
0-2.
0-2 to Mulch.
Mulch just slaughtered you last round. Now, what is this card here? Is this some sort of card?
Shiny card. It's a shiny card with a reflective surface.
Card with the word Bogart in its name, I want to say. It's a black goblin.
Ooh, that might be like search your library for a goblin card and put it on top of your library.
Okay, the Harbinger.
Goblin, yeah. Harbinger.
Let's see.
Oh, Slim Gang? No, it costs 3 mana. So, probably Bogart Harbinger then. Yes, it was
Bogart Harbinger. Okay. Yeah, we've been dealing with the glare all
and,
day.
3 mana, get the Lutri into hand.
So Lutri, a good way to sort of break the tempo of playing, cards on your turn and no cards on your opponent's turn. But Tasiga, incredible threat here for Mimi, being
so did we just see a hard cast Forcible? Is that what happened?
I blinked and I missed it, to be honest.
I think we both blinked and I think we both mixed it. But I agree with you. You're just saying about Tasiga. What's your thoughts on Tasiga?
Look, Mimi's playing it here with 4 mana up. That is the dream. You get to curate your graveyard. You see Mimi leaving the 2 fetch lands in here, just so that the graveyard for the Tasiga activation is drowned in the Lock Baleful Strix. And if Mulch doesn't present anything to do this turn, if Mulch decides to sit back on the Lutri, for example, Mimi can just activate Tasiga and be happy with that.
I think that's one of those destroy an enchantment or a creature.
No, you'll find that one might be Warren Weirding here. 2 mana Edict, and if it happens to be a goblin that's sacrificed to the Edict,
it's control against 2 1/1s.
2 goblins, that's right.
Wow.
So you can use it on your own creatures to sort of multiply them. You can use it on your opponent's stuff as normal.
Mulch has to give one of either Baleful Strix, Liliana the Last Hope, or Drown in the Lock back to Mimi.
That sucks.
That sucks for Mulch.
I've got to lean towards
Baleful Strix. I think it's Baleful Strix.
Yeah, it's not Liliana is the definite answer.
Yep, yep.
If the graveyard was smaller, you could make an argument for Drown in the Lot.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
So I'm gonna head out for a break here while Mulch.
We'll be back in the next 45 minutes.
Goblin Recruiter banned from Legacy for time reasons, basically.
Yeah.
Not because it's too powerful, but because it just takes a long time.
Yep.
Although
considerations for doing the same thing in Highlander. Sensei's Dividing Top has got a point.
I mean, not by my choice. I wasn't on the committee when that received a point.
You were in the judging community, though, so you bear some responsibility.
Let's see if we can rattle these off. Cherugian, Chain Whirler,
Game Commander, Ringleader, we got War Chief,
Krenko, Tin Street Kingpin, Grenzo, other Krenko, and some stuff. So Cherugian's the weird one there. The only one that isn't sort of a mainstream goblin.
Certainly is like single red to cast for like an 0-1 or something. 0-2. And you can sacrifice a goblin to regenerate another goblin.
That sounds pretty accurate. It's also really hard to spell.
Yeah, well done. You spelled that like a champion.
I've had to do it before, don't worry.
Oh my god. See, the big thing about this recruiter resolving here is Mimi might be able to counter the next spell. And the next spell. And the next spell. But then the fourth one, the fifth one, the sixth one, the seventh one, the eighth one, the ninth, the 10th, the 11th. He's probably going like 15 bloody goblins here. So it just means that every single turn for the next 15 turns, Mulch is gassed up.
Yeah, Mulch is never bricking.
Yeah, never bricking.
And if, God forbid, like if a ringleader resolves,
then it's heaps.
You know, you've got to wonder if you're in Mimi's seat, where in the pile is the ringleader?
Yep.
Because if you blow your last counter and the next card is ringleader and that draws 4 goblins,
which means there's just like multiple threats in the one turn.
That's right.
I think that Field of Ruin makes an opponent shuffle their library. They don't get to choose.
It does, but we've mentioned a couple of times today that card just doesn't see much play anymore.
It does not. It does not. So I don't think Mimi's playing that one. But there are. Oh, geez, that would have been a good time to opposition agent, as you said. Oh, could you imagine?
Just I'll exile the same cards you were going to, and never cast any of them. Yeah. You've got 20 cards left in your deck. I'll play out another 20 turns. Yeah. Not even beat you to death with, a Snapcaster or whatever. I'm just gonna, I'll cast a Cherugian just to have a blocker.
So, I got a question for you here, Judge. You're a judge.
Okay.
Yeah? At what point does Mulch get a slow play warning for this? Because we're at, we could probably go back to the actual thing, and we're probably at a couple of minutes now.
We're definitely at a couple of minutes. The period of time that he took to pull them all out was actually surprisingly quick. Yep. Normally that's a slow portion of the game.
I actually think that it was pretty fast in that whole decision there. I think that was reasonable.
The point where you ask the question is normally the point where it happens.
Yeah.
Where it may not be a straight up warning. It might be, hey mate, you need to speed this process up, and then if there's still another couple of minutes, then it'll be trouble from there on. But definitely, and that's true a lot of the time. When you're thinking, hey, is this slow play? That's probably a good sign that it is.
Okay, yeah. I usually go like 30 seconds after I'm bored, then it's a warning. That's how I used to do it as an actual judge.
Yeah, sure. One of the other metrics you can use is if you walk up to a table and sit there and look at it, and you don't know whose turn it is or what phase you're in, that's probably a good sign that something needs to speed up.
Yeah. It's interesting with the recruiter because there's so many things going on.
Yeah. And the ringleader, just right at the top of the pile.
Yep.
Looks like Mimi said yes, and here are 4 more goblins. Cherugian, something, Chieftain, and Krenko.
And Churgeon goes straight in.
It's
misstepped, oh yeah! Churgeon, useless.
So, only 6 lands for Mulch here. Important to note that he won't be able to play a Haste Lord and a Krenko in the same turn, unless that other card in his hand there is Goblin War Chief.
It is War Chief, so it reduces the cost of goblins by 1. So it can go War Chief, followed by Krenko, which, well, yeah, as long as he does have the requisite number of red things.
So that's a very powerful play. Krenko taps to make goblins equal to your number of goblins. And giving them all haste is a powerful proposition.
We see this in Historic as well.
Yeah,
So
I haven't actually played much Historic. How do you find the format?
it's pretty interesting. Like there's lots of different deck strain. You've got to be careful of goblins. You've also got to be careful of Uro making the rounds. I'm not sure if Uro is still legal or not, but yeah. All right,
It's a new day. He's probably been banned in a new format. Yeah, Ponder. So this would be a great place to find a counterspell. There's a mana drain.
One of the interesting things here is that the Toxic Deluge is gone, isn't it?
Yeah, exiled away to the Tasiga.
The Jace can't get the Toxic Deluge, which is a bit unfortunate.
Yeah. There's a mana drain there in Mimi's in the Mimi's Ponder. So that's a pretty good sign there.
Yep.
Perhaps Mulch might lead off with Warchief into Krenko next turn and get it drained.
Yeah.
Something like that. And even if you pay one less for it through the mana drain, through the Warchief, the mana drain's still going to get the full 4 from the casting cost.
Yep. So I think Mimi's plan to victory here is to probably mana drain the Krenko when it comes down, and then be able to find a sweeper.
That's not a good sign for Mulch here. The Jace just straight up milling the Fatal Push from the top of the deck. Wasn't even put in the hand and feigned ignorance. It was just, I know this Fatal Push is on top. We're going to put it in the graveyard and flip this Jace.
That's interesting because, okay, what do we got here?
Granted, Mimi doesn't have a fetch land to turn that Fatal Push into a card that can interact with these 3-drops and 4-drops in Mulch's hand.
We've got a smaller thing from the Jace. We're going to see Krenko come down here with the mana drain countering it.
Alright, so the Warchief came down to make that Krenko castable. We're going to see 4 colourless mana from Mimi on the next turn. Just pointing out that the Recruiter has no power.
Yeah.
Mulch does have the ability to attack with it if he so chooses. But Mimi just being nice, saying, look, you don't have to attack with that one if you don't want.
Alright, and we got an Assassin's Trophy. Is it a May effect?
It is a May, I believe.
Let's pull that one up. We can probably see from the lack of shuffling.
Yeah,
it is a May effect.
I think if it was a must, Mimi would be very much telling Luke that it was a must there.
Yeah, so it's certainly a May effect. So Jace is on 6. We can Abrupt Decay something. We can Drown the Lock something. We can tick up with the Jace. We can tick down to Ponder. Got some different options here.
Lots of options, absolutely.
All right, we're going to tick down on the Ponder. Try and find something.
There's 3 cards in Luke's hand. One of them's Goblin Chieftain. The other 2 are Goblins. We don't know which ones, but we know that they are Goblins.
We're going to see a shuffle here. That was one of those cards was the last card from the previous Ponder that was kept, so not surprising that a shuffle is going on here. But again, just as we said, Mimi might be able to deal with the first threat, the second threat, the third threat, the fourth threat. But then what about the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th?
If Mimi ever has a couple of lands in a row, it's all going to run out. Mimi does have 4 colourless mana floating here, assuming that she remembered the mana drain.
Yep. So that could be relevant. Let's look at the haymakers. Things like Oko could come down. Liliana the Last Hope would be all right.
That one's in the graveyard, so that'd be a difficult one. And maybe just passed, actually.
Actually, just a straight up Uro would be pretty good.
Yeah, Uro would be very powerful here.
Yep.
That's a Goblin Chieftain getting counterspelled there. Counterspell proper.
Yep. What else do we have? Dig Through Time. Dig Through Time to find multiple things. That would be certainly what we're looking for here.
Dig Through Time. I guess Colligan's Command would be a neat way to use that colourless mana as well, with the Tasiga in the graveyard.
Yep. We'll be able to get that Tasiga back. So they're the big ones. Snapcaster Mage might be able to do some things.
Here we see a Krenko Tin Street Hooligan.
Yeah, so it starts off as a 1 power, but then when it attacks, it gets +1/+1 counter and makes X goblins, where X is the number of
every turn it attacks, it gets more goblins. It's
gets bigger and gets more goblins.
Similar to the other Krenko in that with haste, it's incredible. Without haste, it's fine.
Yeah.
As long as you can untap with it.
With the Jace ticking up and making it small, it actually negates the goblins that it creates.
Very true. I mean, it could still attack this turn and grow up to a 0/3.
Yep.
Which we may see happen regardless. So maybe
it'll definitely attack.
Shrinking it down to a 0 to a -1/2, but 0/2 after the rules apply, doesn't preclude it from attacking. And that looks like Pashalik Mons. You can see all of these are already in my search history.
Yeah.
I've covered Mulch before.
So whenever another goblin you control dies, old mate Pashalik gets to do 1 damage to any target, and you can sacrifice a goblin to create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens.
Yeah, you can turn one goblin into 2. It also deals damage on the way out, so assuming that nothing changes on the board, this goblin recruiter can get turned into 2 more goblins.
Yep.
Should just...
We see a goblin king come down as well. 2 things that the king does. 1, it pumps things.
Yep, gives more
pumps all the
+1.
goblins. It also gives Mountain Walk, which Mimi has a volcanic island in play.
Yeah, Mountain Walk, not normally the reason you play the card, but it's relevant here now.
We see the flame sweep. This is exactly what was needed. Okay.
Radiant Flames.
Radiant Flames,
Yeah.
the flame sweep, the sweeper. All right. So we're still in this. And I think a lightning bolt as well.
Mm-hmm. So Radiant Flames can go up to 3 damage. Now Mimi is going to take damage on the way out from the Pashalik Mons.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage. Okay.
5 damage here.
But that was pretty much the only draw at that stage that would mean that still in.
Yeah, so 5 damage coming through on the way out. Mimi down to 7. The pressure is on, and there is still goblins on the top of the library.
Yeah, but if she can deal with the next 12 goblins off the top, then I think she has this game.
We still haven't seen... I want to say there was a Goblin Rabble Master in the pile.
Yep.
As well as a Legion War Boss typically makes these piles as well.
Maybe a Kiki Jiki.
Kiki Jiki's a good one.
Kiki Kik. Just
Maybe...
attack for a 2/2 haste. 5 mana 2/2
I've done it
haste.
before.
All right.
Is that Sling Gang Lieutenant?
It does look like the Slim Gang, which makes sense right after the Pashlik Mons.
Yeah, good pair. Looks like...
In response to the trigger, lightning bolt.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. You don't want these goblins to... Yeah, I mean... Mulch did sacrifice Sling Gang to itself in response to that. But, having the ability to cash in these goblins straight away, it's, an option you don't want to leave there. Mimi is hellbent.
Dig
just this one card.
Dig through time off the top. Come on, dig through time. Dig deep. Dig deep.
Mimi's actually playing the Dog Through Time artwork of Dig Through Time.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Mimi tagged me in a tweet on Twitter, said I'm playing the Dog Through Time Secret Lair artwork just to confuse commentary. I've got to admit, if not for that tweet, I wouldn't have recognised the card.
That's a good tweet. Good tweet. All right, Mimi down to 3. In a bit of a danger zone here.
And Mulch definitely still holding 2 goblins.
I've been super impressed with Mimi's ability to hold on through this recruiter.
Actually, no. Mulch is only holding 1 goblin and a Lutri. We forgot that the Lutri was in hand.
Okay. Yeah, which is pretty relevant on 3 life.
That's really big, yeah. If Mimi deals with the board and passes...
I think it has to be a dig through time here. I think that we need 2 cards. We've got Jace the Mind Sculptor as well, actually. So Jace the Mind Sculptor could do something, maybe.
I see Grenzo Dungeon Warden, another one of those card advantage goblins. Enters with X11 counters, has 2 base power as well, and you can pay 2 to mill your bottom card if it's a creature with equal or less power than him.
2 lands and that's it. All right.
No good here.
Wow. Okay, so keeping the Lutri open there with the 3 power on board, 3 power flash, and just that recruiter.
Yeah, we'll pull it back into the booth here. So 1.5 really good games of Magic there. I mean, there was about 1 relevant turn in that first game, and the second game was pretty back and forth, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, I was pretty impressed with Mimi dealing with as many goblins as she did.
Yeah, that's the thing. The recruiter, typically you see a lot of these worst case games where it comes down on turn 3 or turn 4, and you're stuck on however many lands you had for the rest of the game.
Yep.
Mulch managed to play it with 6 lands in play, and that means that
Access to everything.
yeah, you're never going to be stuck with 2 or 3 lands in play, drawing goblins for the rest of the game.
Yep, and that recruiter went straight into ringleader, and the ringleader resolved as well, and that gave 4 goblins off the top. And Mimi actually dealt with all 4 of those goblins.
Really
dealt
impressive.
with the next 2 or 3 down, and then
Yeah.
it was only until the Pashok Mons that did 5 damage.
Yeah, that's right.
Really it got away.
All right, well, that's the end of our tournament here. I'm going to get the winner in here to have a discussion about his deck. I know he'll love to talk about it. He'll talk about it for hours if I let him. But stay tuned, and thanks for tuning in. Isaac, thanks for joining us, mate.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.